on the bench, I have something really special. This is a D-theater unit, but in particular, it is the JVC HM-DH5U. Now, just to get into it, I have wanted this VCR since I first started collecting for D-theater. This baby here can do all the sound codecs, so PCM, Dolby Digital, and DTS. That are all DTS being only on some certain titles. It can do HDMI out, and that's really the big appeal behind it. There's those two features. So I was really happy as a clam when I found this on eBay for a price I was able to afford, that I was able to risk. But of course, it's not without its issues. Of course, I bought it as parts. So plugged it in, the power. Alright, so powered on. It basically has the same format, same font style, whatever, as the 40,000U with that channel 2 box there. Let me get a standard VHS tape, show you how that works. So it is play. I am getting picture, as you see, the Nutty Professor remake with Eddie Murphy. However, I'm not getting audio. Yeah, 21. So it should be quite loud, especially with the hi-fi sound. And yes, I do have this. I just said this thing has HDMI, but I'm just plugging this into my CRT just to quickly show you what's wrong. So no sound, which is interesting to note because when I was testing this in my room at first, I connected with HDMI and I was also getting no sound through HDMI. So I know it's a common fault developing somewhere on this thing. But the modes of operation, fast forward, rewind. There's a lever panel here that comes down that show you more features. So like here I can do pause. Not a good pause. So I'll just hit eject. And did not eat the tape. Yay for me. Okay, I ended up talking for 3 minutes before I realized I did not hit record on the camera. So I have to backtrack. Here is my LCD test monitor in the shed here. I can do components and HDMI. I currently have the VCR here hooked up to HDMI out. So I popped in my. So what happened? I popped in my D-theater tape in here, expecting it not to play at all, or rather have big blocks on the screen. However, then the TV's going to correct the aspect ratio. That's what it's doing.
I'm confused. I thought you were talking about global warming.
I'm getting audio. I'm getting
yes, it is a paradox.
video.
Global warming can trigger a cooling trend. Let me explain.
So in my room, I was not getting any of that. I was just getting a huge jumble of mess. Because if you have, because what can happen is if the this thing turned off. Oh, right, that's another thing wrong with this thing. But so what happened was, in my room, I was not getting. When the picture did come in, it was like extremely blocky. There was no audio. However, out here, hit play. Out here, I am getting the picture and audio. So I guess there's not that much wrong with the unit at all. It could be I knocked something into alignment just bringing this thing into the shed. That's a possibility. Here's the intro action scene. Well, let me hit play and see what's going to happen. Guys, that's really interesting. I was not expecting it to just work. I still have to look into why I won't do the high-speed rewind, so that's something. I didn't just bring this out here just for nothing. But that's really funny. Could be that the capacitors in the power supply warmed up too, so I could be getting a false reading of sorts here. Because I still need to look at the capacitors, at least in the power supply. I at least need to do that much. But yeah, I won't do the high-speed rewind. We'll do the... Let me hit stop. At a certain point, I'm just gonna... Let me just open this thing up. So, this one, there are just 2 screws on the sides here, and the rest are along the perimeter here. There is 1 screw missing, so this thing must have been opened at some point before I got into my hands. Maybe some wannabe tech try their hands. I also don't think there's a video on YouTube showing this thing open, so for those wondering what the insides of this thing looks like, well, you're about to have your questions answered. Then this flips up, and that's the inside. Okay, with the top off, I can make one observation, is that this front panel is pretty flimsy. There should be a screw there that's not there, so that's interesting. Perhaps the wannabe tech got in deeper than I initially thought. But here's the mechanism. It's quite different from the 30,000 and 40,000. And you might be wondering, where's the loading motor? I had that question at first. It is right there. I don't think you can see it. No, you can't because the basket is blocking it. But it is right there, and it should be... There shouldn't be a belt. It should be one of those where the worm gear is right on the motor. So that's one less belt you gotta worry about. Still, loading feels a little sluggish. Like it could be, like it looks like it's having a little bit of trouble. But anyway, so obvious mechanism, digital preamp, digital board. That is pretty warm from where I am. This should be part of this board here should be part of the power supply. And underneath the digital board is the power supply itself. So to show you what I was talking about, I have stopped. Going to now hit rewind. See if you can see the reel. See how they're not turning? So that's one thing to look at. Yeah, it took its sweet time, but it put itself into automatic shutdown for protection. So that's a pretty delayed protection. But yeah, it doesn't have any issues with the high-speed fast forward. Right? Oh, it's warming up. It's warming up. Oh, it does. Okay, so it's not just rewind. Well, I think it's going to go into shutdown anyway. Oh, no, it's not. Yeah, so we're not out of the woods yet because we got to look at all that. If we want this thing to be bulletproof. So, screw right underneath the HDMI port. Standard stuff. This is the screw I was talking about. So it looks like there's the board. It's supported by that. And then I saw there was one there. So is this free to grab? No? Oh, okay. There's a screw right. There's one more, at least one more screw here. There could be more. Let me see. Is that it? Or is there more? Oh, there's a. Gee, talk about sneaky. There's one right here. Hoping I can do this without having to undo any of the cables. There we go. Well. Keep an eye out for cables and the like. I can take off the AC cord. There we go. Oh, okay, it's gonna be. So we have these two power connectors. Yeah, we got this here for the firewire. And I just flip it upside down and put it here. I don't want any of that to touch the heads, though. That works. Fan. I can undo the actual plug. There we go. Connector there, and one more here. Alright. Nothing's bent. I did not destroy anything, at least not yet. Come on. Don't make me get the tweezers. What is that? Random 20-euro piece of plastic. So, this is the power supply board. It's honestly feels easy to. I mean, obviously the board is small. On the 30,000U and 40,000U, of course the boards are much longer. But this one, nice and compact. I like it. I like it a lot. So let me get a feel for what capacitors they are. So the small ones, I definitely want to replace. All these. What do they buy? Who do they buy? Leland? Can't say I know the name. But I'm willing to bet that if I put my ESR meter on these, particularly small caps, they're all going to test really bad before I take ESR readings. Let me just turn some of these caps. We can get sparks? 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 Whenever I do this, I am always hesitant about doing this because depending on the size of the capacitor, of course, you are going to see sparks. So I have the reference sheet for this particular meter about the worst case scenario ESRs. So this guy tests pretty damn good. Selling a 0.07, and that one was there's a 27,000. So it's, let's see, a 1,000. Well, what's a voltage? 10. Okay, 10. So let's see, 1,000 microfarad. Worst case is 0.1 ohms. And next shows 4,700 microfarad. Should test no worse than the 0.06. So, let me see again. So like 0.9, I want to say. Well, it was. It seems to be hovering like around 0. So that seems to be fine. Next guy. Next guy seems to be another 0 ohms. I let it rest for several seconds to make sure it's kind of locked in on the value before I decide. Yeah, this one. This other big cap is testing well, so it doesn't look like I gotta replace the big caps, which is nice because I don't have any of that size. So like, what about the little guys? What about the little guys? Oh shit! You see that? You see what I'm talking about? Oi, yay! Which one was that? How much is that one there? It's a tiny one. How big are you? 47 microfarads. You are testing. Talk about a world of difference. The big guys are testing like basically perfect. This one, I'm getting a reading of like 7.7. So, you think that's bad? Geez, don't even need to look at the sheet for that to know that's not good. How about you? 5.82. This must be the one that sparked because ESR is only 0.2-ish. That's this guy? 5201. Yeah, okay, so that's a slightly bigger cap. Let's see. Okay, 120. 120 at 35 volts. So well, 100 at 35 volts should be no worse than the 0.5, and that was like a 0.35. No, it wasn't. It was better than that. Yeah, like a 0.25, it seems. Yeah, that one's... I wouldn't worry about that one. That one seems to be good. But, I mean, let me just get a reading on that blue one. 5202. Did I already test this one? Okay, I did. $1.9. $6.56. There's no capacitor there. Just a blank space for, I guess, another model. Okay, so seems like... What about this guy? This guy looks a little different than his brothers. Okay, 220 microfarads, 6.3. Let me make sure he doesn't have a charge, because I don't want to damage my ESR meter. That guy completely opened, it looks like. Because I'm not getting jack squat on my ESR meter. Okay. I wonder if I should just mark the ones I want to replace. It's basically going to be all the small guys. They're always the troublemakers. The big caps generally have some life to them, but it's always the small ones that you gotta look out for. It's always the quiet ones. And while you're looking at the quiet one, the loud one will fucking kill you. I've a whole bag of the 100 microfarad caps at 25 volts. Because I was using them quite a bit on my D theater unit. On my JVC 40,000U. D theater unit is pretty quite a broad term. So something like this, I don't need to desolder. All I have to do is just, reflow the solder joints. Did I not tim right? So I just pull on the leads on the body of the capacitor itself, on the capacitor. It's probably more their term. 100 microfarads, 10 volts. I'm right next to the mic. I better keep quiet. Otherwise, I'm going to blast the hell out of you guys with audio. And then get my 100 microfarads at 25 volts. give it more buffer room. Yeah, it's going to be difficult with just doing it upside down. Well, if I can find the Okay, that's one capacitor in place. Now on the rest. This is another one of those 100 microfarad ones. Of course, making sure that I am observing polarity when I pop these in. Oh, solder splash doing that. Fortunately, not on any of my sensitive parts. This guy was tested bad. This might be the last one that I show on camera, then I'll cut to like doing the last one, I suppose. Well, if I can grab it. What is this one? Okay, I'll pull out my general cap. I should have one at that rating, 30 volts. Oh, even better, I can do 50 volts at that capacitance. Again, you never want to go down in voltage, but you're always welcome to go up in voltage as long as the capacitor can still fit in the same space. That's the important thing. So positive goes there. Positive leads are longer than negatives. So positive's gonna not in the right hole. Okay, what's wrong with this? There we are. Okay, I'll cut back to when I'm close to being finished. Okay, so I have all the replacement caps in place. Move that. Now I'm going to just tune up those solder joints on the replacement caps, cut the leads, and then this power supply board ought to be good to go. The reason why the capacitors on these boards fail, one, the capacitor chemistry was in the that time period where it was not a good formula, so they went bad. But moreover, as far as these particular units are concerned, these boards get really hot, and of course heat's going to the capacitors themselves were only rated at 85 degrees Celsius, so any heat is going to dry them out much faster, and that's what happens in these cases. So while I would say recapping is not like the best like strategy for just general repair, because most VCRs don't need them. These VCRs are the kind of that exception where they do need them. They do need new capacitors. At the very least, small ones should get replaced because small capacitors filter out the sensitive signals and the DC voltages. So, did I miss one? Let me just get my clippers, my dikes, clip the excess leads. I did have trouble with one of the leads, so that pad is a little ducked up, but it's still making a connection, so that's good by me. I thought I should be honest about that. Let me give the board one last look over. That all checks out. This board is ready to go back in the unit. Next, I see a couple capacitors on this board down there, which I don't know if I'll be able to just easily pop out. So I put these two screws back in. I don't think it splits off. I don't think the power supply splits off onto the main on board down there like on the 40,000U. I think it's only confined to these two boards. Because there's a connector here. Screw. What do I have to do with this board to get it off? Anything? Be a little remorsed if I didn't just flip this over and test ESR what I can. This thing fastened. Oh, there's another screw. That'll do it. Okay, so I have to get the front panel out of the way. Sorry you couldn't see that, but I just took the front panel off. The door to the shed is creaking, trying to scare me. Well, I'm not afraid anymore. So, this is the other section of the board. These handle like the voltage outs. So, I want to quickly short out some of these caps here before I plug my ESR meter through them. Oh! Hello. Those don't look like factory solder. You look like someone has been into this thing. These capacitors are already replaced. I can tell by the joints. Those are not factory quality joints. It looks like shit I would do. Yeah, and even like one of the pads is lifting up there. Well, let me see if the caps they use are good. So that answers if this thing has been into. Let me rephrase that. That answers the question of has someone been into this thing? Clearly, yes, because those solder joints are not are definitely someone using their iron and not like from the factory. Uh, that one's so worst case scenario, a 470 microfarad at 60 volts should measure 0.2 on this. I'm getting like 0.4, 0.06, so less than a tenth of an ohm, so that's good. That's on the, it's kind of on the cusp. Well, ultimately, I don't think that's really going to do anything bad. That one's good. That one's fine. I mean, they are creeping up, but it's not really anything that I would say is directly causing a fault. This one, I'm getting mixed readings on. Can I? Yeah, I still call that good. What about the? Because one they didn't replace was the 100 volt, the 100 microfarad one. Yeah, that one's bad. Because 100 microfarad, just 10 volts, right? No, this one's 16 volts. 100 microfarad, 16 volts should be no worse than 0.9. I'm getting like well into the like between 4 and 5. I think is where it sells at. If I can, 3.3, just about. Again, the small ones. Oh, I see my. I'm getting a notification on my phone. Okay, so I will touch up the joints on the 470 caps, but the small ones are the ones that are really going to cause you trouble. Just keep that in mind. It's probably why the unit works as well as it did, is because these big caps are already replaced. Because, of course, the old ones could have gone bad. I'm just surprised they didn't replace a 100 microfarad one. While they were in there, you know. I mean, the board wasn't the most convenient to get to. Yeah, that's an ass load of solder there. me take some of that off. Well, I did the best I could. You're gonna make me use this. There we are. Just want to clean some of that off because there's like a little too much solder on there, if you ask me. All I have to do, replace that cap there. And that's aligned. That's that.